The echo in the Forgotten Locket. The attic had always been a place of quiet neglect. Dust clung to the rafters like forgotten memories, and the air carried the scent of aged wood and time-worn secrets. When Eleanor stepped into the space, the floorboards groaned beneath her weight, as if protesting the intrusion. She wasn't looking for anything in particular, just chasing the nostalgia that sometimes pulled her toward her grandmother's old house after the funeral. She found it tucked inside a velvet-lined box, buried beneath yellowed newspapers and brittle lace. The locket was delicate, oval-shaped, its silver tarnished to a dull gray. Intricate engravings curled around its edges like ivy, and in its center, a faint etching of a rose, wilted, almost imperceptible. It didn't match any of the jewelry her grandmother had worn. In fact, Eleanor couldn't recall ever seeing it before. As she held it in her palm, a faint sound tickled her ear. A whisper. No, more like an echo, distant and hollow, as though someone had spoken in a cavern miles away. She turned sharply, heart quickening, but the attic remained still. Silence reclaimed the space. She dismissed it. Old houses creaked. Memories played tricks. But when she opened the locket, the air shifted. Inside was a sepia photograph of a young woman with solemn eyes and a man beside her, his face partially obscured. Behind the photo, folded tightly, was a scrap of paper. Eleanor unfolded it carefully. "Forgive me. I never meant to leave you there." The echo returned, clearer this time. A voice, female, trembling. Eleanor dropped the locket. It clattered against the floor, and the sound reverberated unnaturally, stretching longer than it should have. That night, sleep evaded her. The echo lingered in her ears, surfacing in the silence between breaths. She told herself it was stress, grief, imagination. But the next day, the locket had moved. It lay on her nightstand, though she was certain she'd left it in the attic. Cold spots began to form in her home, brief pockets of icy air that vanished as quickly as they appeared. A scent followed, faint lavender, tinged with something metallic. Objects shifted subtly. A chair turned slightly. A door left ajar. The locket, always nearby, seemed to pulse with quiet energy. Eleanor turned to research. She scoured local archives, searching for any mention of the locket's design or origin. In a 1923 newspaper clipping, she found a story, Tragedy at Hollowmere Estate, Young Bride Disappears Without a Trace. The bride's name was Lillian Ashcroft. Her photograph matched the woman in the locket. Lillian had vanished days after her wedding. Her husband, Thomas, claimed she'd run away. But rumors whispered of screams in the night, of blood on the floorboards, of a locked room no one could enter. The estate had burned down a year later. No remains were ever found. Eleanor's investigation deepened. She found a journal in her grandmother's belongings, written by a maid who had worked at Hollowmere. The entries grew erratic toward the end, filled with references to the echo, the locket, and the voice that won't rest. She brought in audio equipment, hoping to capture the sound. What she recorded chilled her, a fragmented voice, pleading, repeating the same phrase, "Don't forget me." The frequency was unlike anything she'd heard. Experts were baffled. One suggested it was a residual haunting, a psychic imprint left behind by trauma. But Eleanor began to suspect it was more than that. The echo wasn't just sound, it was memory. A fragment of Lillian's final moments, trapped within the locket. A plea for justice. A warning. She returned to the attic, retracing her steps. Beneath the floorboards, she found a hidden compartment. Inside, a blood-stained dress, a rusted key, and a letter addressed to Thomas. It read, "You promised me freedom. You gave me silence. I will not be forgotten." The echo surged that night. Eleanor awoke to whispers surrounding her, the air thick with sorrow. The locket glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. She saw visions, Lillian, locked in a room, screaming, clawing at the walls. Thomas, cold-eyed, turning the key. The truth was unbearable. Lillian had been murdered. Her soul, bound to the locket, had waited nearly a century to be heard. Eleanor's life unraveled. Sleep became a battleground. Shadows moved where light should reign. She felt watched, judged, chosen. The echo grew louder, more urgent. It wasn't just a haunting, it was a call to action. She held the locket before a camera, trembling. "This isn't just a story," she said. "It's a voice. A memory. A warning. What do we owe the dead who were silenced?" The video went viral. Millions watched, captivated by the mystery, the tragedy, the unresolved resonance. Some claimed to hear the echo themselves. Others saw Lillian's face in the reflection. The locket became a symbol, of forgotten voices, of buried truths. Eleanor never found peace. She tried to bury the locket, burn it, seal it away. But it always returned. The echo persisted. And sometimes, late at night, she would hear a new voice, faint, male, angry. "Thomas.